creative is a gift, and I appreciate that.
A pioneer in the art world, he's inspiring a new generation of artists.
I think young artists have to look at art primarily not something that will make them a fantastic living or an easy way out, because it's one of the most difficult professions. They should be led by humility, caution, and love for life and happiness. You get these beautiful hills.
This week on African Voices, meet Sanaa Gateja, an artist whose work has earned him the title of the Bead King.
Karibuni. Karibuni means welcome in Swahili. This is Kwetu, Africa. It's where I work from. Kwetu means at home. This is my home. This is my workplace. And welcome.
Sanaa Gateja was born in 1950 and was introduced to art early in life. He says in 1968, at just 18, he began collecting and promoting arts and crafts for the Ugandan government.
I was employed by the Minister of Culture and Community Development. This is in the 60s, after the independence, and everybody was curious to see an identity of the new nation. And I think this ministry was charged with this task, particularly reviving the art and culture. I was employed as an assistant crafts officer who went around with the officials buying crafts and from makers from north to south of Uganda, and I had a wonderful time.
Gateja's exposure to art inspired him to become an artist himself. In 1971, he resigned from his government job and moved to the Kenyan coastal city of Mombasa to become a full-time artist.
When I arrived in Mombasa, with all my experience in the crafts and art, and wishing by this time to become an artist, I decided to open a gallery. To begin with, I was exhibiting general African art, which was art I collected from places like Lamu, from Somalia. And then gradually I got involved in producing art through a workshop I had next to my shop, and started to exhibit my own work as well. This is me in the gallery. I was dealing in antiques and art and crafts with a workshop. And then, of course, later exhibitions in Nairobi from that same workshop. After some years, I moved to London, where in London again, I established Safari Studios, which was my show window as well as my studio, exhibiting my own work and also other people's work, especially African artists. These are my two daughters in London when they were small. They're now in 30s. My return to Uganda was marked by a big exhibition at the Africa Centre, where I had a solo exhibition, and in '89 I moved back to Uganda.
When Gateja returned to Uganda, he began making his own materials to use in his art, one of which would be his crowning achievement.
I'm passionate about art, and not only one medium, but in all mediums. My starting point in art was, I suppose, with materials like fibers and bark cloth, and I started to paint, and then found that I loved to manipulate these materials into little sculptures like beads, and of course I had a passion for beads because as a young child of 4, my aunt used to have a huge beautiful bead necklace that was quite impressive, and she would hold me on her lap and I would see this necklace, and And so it stayed in my mind. So I always want to make beads, and I've actually made beads all my life as objects of art. Yes, Nankunda. I would like to demonstrate a new bead that has a wide angle to it.
In the early 1990s, Gateja began teaching women how to make beads as a way for them to generate an income.
I became attracted to the secrets that our traditional crafts have, and I became very curious about who made them, and I found women are the keepers of these secrets in their hands, for example, in decorative materials. And so when I started to make paper beads, I worked with women because of their hands, and we exchanged ideas. So I introduced the ideas of making beads, and the whole thing is blown up to a huge, more than 50,000 women making beads and selling them and making an income from them. You have to be very, very careful to make sure that you're rolling your bark in the center of the cut. So when you're experienced, you can really be very fast and adjusting. It's like driving a car in a straight line. And then you adjust here and there, and you have a bead. This, with a bit of glue, you will hold the bead together. In this case, we have some prepared, and then you will weave them once they're dry with the raffia. This palm raffia is very beautiful, and it's used a lot in weaving baskets and so forth. And so you create patterns in this fashion using raffia. So from this to this, and then to this.
Not content with making beads from traditional materials, Gateja turned his attention to helping the environment.